to make it seem as if white people sent some secret message out. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I would love to talk to Bone Thugs about this too. I gotta bring them on the show. Like, even with Bone Thugs and Harmony, it's like, you mean to tell me a white man wrote a letter and made you start rapping about St. Clair like it was fucked up, or was Cleveland really fucked up? You get what I'm saying, big dog? I think that the New York artists were costing the label so much money, they start going other places, and people started rapping their reality. Master P's reality is not Rakim's reality. Eminem was rapping his reality. Nobody sent Eminem a letter and said, "Yo, you gotta rap about being white trash." You get what I'm saying, CO? So for me, I feel like a lot of things are a cop-out, and I feel like we try to blame people. A lot of times we try to, sometimes, I gotta say this, and it's gonna hurt my heart to say this, sometimes we unfairly blame white people for shit that we just want to do. She just want to twerk her ass. She didn't get a letter to twerk.
Wait, did you see that Leo Cohen interview on Breakfast?
Yeah, I see, absolutely.
Okay, so it's not necessarily, and I'm just repeating what Ice Cube basically said. It's not that though that these white, like but white record like executives are writing down, are grabbing the pen of the artist. It's that back then there was no internet, so there was only a certain gatekeepers who would allow what was coming from the streets to actually make it to the airwaves and then influence the culture on a broad level. It's one thing when you're listening to Drake songs that you didn't think you were going to like, and then, oh, fuck that, I like the song, I heard it 50 times. That's what the gatekeepers were able to do. So like Ice Cube said, it wasn't that they had to say, hey, I want you to write about shooting. It's that they would only promote to the airwaves. And then that gets to the other guy who was the preacher, went to Walmart and talked about Rick Ross. He said, oh, Rick Ross can say all this stuff about killing blacks and murders and Harua, but as soon as Rick Ross said that thing about, something that she didn't even know it, he lost his Reebok contract. And when he was talking with the execs from Walmart, he said, oh yeah, no, that's unacceptable. He's like, oh, what about, all these albums you have about killing black people, He said, well, they said, well, there's a market for that. So you have to understand that, in my opinion, black people's exploitation and suffering has never stopped being the main cash crop of this country. And they've just manifested it in a way where what pimping does. So like Little Kim was like a version of pimping where it's like, oh, let's have her rap in a lower voice and say all the shit about girls that we don't want to say because we can call misogynist. But wait, if we have the girlfriend saying, I like girls too, girls are players too, girls are pimps too, then we can pimp out the girls more easily. Or little Nicki Minaj, where she's got the song with Usher where they disrespected that Stevie Wonder sample, and her whole role in that song is to go and get a girl for Usher. I'll let you do this, I'll let you do that. And it's pornography, it's audio pornography. I can jump and I can split it. If I can put the image in your mind, why don't we show you the image? So it's not just like, I'm sure there were a lot of Jewish people out there, right? I'm sure there were a lot of Jewish people, white people, and all different types of people that wanted the best lyricism to come out of that. But when you are honest about the gatekeepers and then what it turned into as far as NWA and that kind of stuff, I think it's kind of undeniable to say that there was a larger white supremacist culture that steered.
So for me, I own a promo company. Brothers come to us with the paper. Pick up 50,000, put me on radio. Brothers is taking dope money and going to the radio. They invest in their breed. Now my thing is, I grew up with white people before I moved around all black people. My life journey is different. When we grew up around white people, Ozzy Osbourne was biting the heads off fucking pigeons. We grew up to Insane Clown Posse, two white boys from Detroit that was talking about murdering everybody. Nirvana, Teen Spirit, Alanis Morissette, who was talking about, isn't it ironic? I didn't even realize what she was talking about at first. It's a very sad song. I liked it, but I started listening to it one day. Damn, what is she really talking about? Isn't it ironic? All of this shit happened. You know what I'm saying? Rock and roll, Marilyn Manson. What are we talking about? Man, I was with white folks sleeping in the fucking cemetery. We was doing some dark shit. so sometimes I think that we make, sometimes we sensationalize and magnify, black things way higher than we do white people. I think metal and all of this shit was adding to demonic shit, right? Metal music, and I like some metal music. I look at Kurt Cobain, one of the greatest artists from Nirvana. If you look up the lyrics to Teen Spirit, look up, what they're saying. So, To be honest with you, CO, we was just rapping where we was from, dog.
Oh no,
We ain't know no better, dog. I'm gonna keep it real. My father a minister, bro. You know what I'm saying? He from Detroit. My mom a teacher from Ohio, my dog. But my dad a street cat who turned his life around. Here I come from Ohio, around all these white people, a few black families. I moved to Montgomery, and I was embraced by black people. And
what part of Ohio,
when I seen my dog, you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day,
what part of Ohio?
Yeah. I'm from Ohio originally. Then I moved to Montgomery.
What part?
Yeah.
What part?
Wyndham, Ohio. I was born in Warren, Ohio.
Oh yeah. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. We'll rock with Cleveland.
Okay. Yeah. So CO, we were just rapping where we was from, bro. It wasn't trying to glorify it, but it's like we didn't know no better. We in the trap house, niggas selling dope to white women. You know what I'm saying? We in the trap, dog. Like, you know, I don't know what we want these kids to rap about. And I'll be honest with you, CO. I think if you look at the news, are the stories positive? I think America has an infatuation with crime. I really think, listen, the news is all bad. You mean to tell me there's nobody doing anything positive in America? Nobody wants to hear that shit, bro. Some of us do. Because I still bump De La Soul and Nas, and I got a song with AZ and Scarface. You know what I'm saying, CO? But I just don't, for some reason, bro, we're infatuated with crime, bro. Even me at night, sometimes I be watching cop shows and I'm watching police arrest people that's doing bank fraud. You feel me, CO? And I'm like, why am I not watching comedy right now? Sometimes we just like the...
But it's programming, and there are executives that get paid millions of dollars to design what you like. That's why there are 15 different, what you say, Law and Order versions. So if you're able to acknowledge that, you kind of didn't acknowledge the point that I made, which is the exact same thing in the music industry.
Not really, bro. You know why it's different? Because this is, you want the truth or you want to lie. The truth is this. I can take you as an artist and you can be positive. I can put 50,000 behind you and I can make you number 10 on Billboard tomorrow. It's a money game. A lot of the executives aren't picking you because you're rapping drill music. They're looking at the BDS reports, the media-based reports. This record is doing good. This artist is gaining more followers on Instagram and TikTok. They're doing business. They're not just listening to somebody saying, he's rapping about killing niggas, let's give him $1 million. That's not how business works.
And you've never heard if it bleeds, it leads in the news industry?
No.
Okay, so if it
Brother, I'm telling you, this is my game.
Wait.
You can't tell me my game. I can tell you, like, where you work at, bro, I would never disrespect you like that. I'm telling you, brother, I own a promotional company. I get paid to promote artists. I knew Drake when his investors was getting ready to pull out on him when he did Replacement Girl with Trey Songz. Pull it up, right? We didn't deny Drake. To be honest, there's a lot of people that do like conscious hip hop, but you know what the problem is? A lot of conscious hip hop dudes don't have the money. So if you believe in that artist, put the money behind them. You can buy the radio. Sorry, I hate to say this because the replays is on, but you can buy all. Everything is about promotion, bro. You could buy this shit. I'm just keeping it.
Hey,
real quick.
Hey, let me do this real quick. And King, for what it was worth, man, King is spitting the truth, the facts, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth from my observation and my relationship with the music industry. But these things are not mutually exclusive. Both things can be true at the same time. And what you're saying, God, I think we're taking a comprehensive view in the context of culture on this Juneteenth date, for what it was worth, discussing a really important issue, which is the influence of our music on the culture, how our music got that way, who it reflects us, because art is supposed to reflect society as a whole. And King brought up some real points that I need to make sure that I stay true with, which is from Tupac to King to Big Crip to Banner to all of these people. They literally were doing what he said. They were rapping, and their art was about their environment and what their environment spoke to them. And that was a powerful art. And that's how art should always be. How did these environments get here? There's systemic ways and systems with the government that include how history is bastardized and demonized cultures in a wrong way to sanitize it for other people. So all of these points are relevant. So I think, God, to lead to you, what you say is true also, man, because even though King, who's very well vested in understanding the industry, but there are, and alienate other cultures, other genders, but the industry and the world is comfortable with black debauchery and crime on every airwave, and that's problematic. If we were really talking about it, is it the person that's on the street corner, or is it the people flying the dope in? If we talk about the dope game, same with music, right? Is it just these people that take our deal to sell their art, or do we hold some people responsible that are investing in and advertising through this thing that has a negative influence? And I think all of these issues need to be
Now, hold on.
Can I jump in really quick?
That's my last point. I know I started something, but yeah, let's go with King, then God, then who said? Let me say something.
That's Nye. I just want to jump in really quick.
King, Nye, God, hold tight. Let moderators get a couple points. Then let's make sure we go to God because he had a point.
The New Yorkers were waking up people. The MCs, be a god, wake up, black man, do your thing. Flavor Flav was on crack. Sometimes we like to be lied to.
Word.
See, let that marinate in your spirit. I hope you caught that. That wasn't for the slow class. I said it fast. But you get what I'm saying, CEO. Sometimes we want to be lied to, bro. A lot of brothers from the bottom was like, I'm not going to lie to you. This was going on. I'm selling crack. What's up? I got a pocket full of songs. Pimp C.
Word up.
Let's talk.
I just want to really quickly, I'll make this quick. 2 points I just wanted to pour into King right quick, because King, earlier you said, and we've moved past this, but I wanted to address it at the time. You dropped the best bar today, and I think you said the ghetto is the only thing that hasn't been stolen truth. And to your point about crimes, we're infatuated with crimes. Listen, I observe this every day in my work as, I work in media, and I work for multiple outlets, black-owned and white-owned digital media outlets, and it matters not what the topic is. The stories that get the most hits are crime. And I talk about this with my editors all the time. Why are we as a society so obsessed with crime stories? The crime stories get the biggest response, and it truly needs to be a case study. So I just wanted to say, man, thank you for mentioning that, because I see it every day in my line of work. Thank you.
Okay, let's let God. And who's after God?
God go King Conscious.
Okay, let's go God and Conscious.
Well, one thing is also just a human thing, because there's a whole bunch of white women that love listening to murder podcasts and Snapped, and they're all like Jennifer Lopez movies was pushed too far. So that's a human thing, and that's what if it leads, it leads. That's why back in the day it was, hey, did you know that your house could be killing you? Tune in at 5 because it scares you, as opposed to, hey, it was a beautiful day. Tune in at 5. That's not going to get you to tune in. It is about marketing and advertising, but once that gets fed to a population, then they just start to like what they like because they get fed it more. That was the whole point. Like you said, you can buy the airwaves. So if you buy the airwaves, you can pay to program people with things that aren't necessarily good for them. So to the point of, they're just rapping about what they know, then that extends to, because they're just a violent type of people, and then it just keeps on going further until you get Keegan saying, well, their culture is twerk culture. So that's why the nuance in what happens at the beginning needs to be addressed before it gets exported out to random white person who has no black friends, who says, oh, look, that's what I see. I see 10 songs about this that are all getting put out by people who aren't either look like them or from their culture. And so that must be what they like. Look, they do that to themselves. So that's the nuance I was trying to point out.
Conscious?
Yeah, I was going to keep it short. I just wanted to address some of the stuff that Keegan was saying. I think the issue is that with people like Keegan, they're basically just victims of media propaganda. You understand? They repeat a lot of the stuff that they see in the media, not realizing that, it's like when they bring up crime, they don't realize 70% of the crime in America is committed by white people. He's talking about drugs and alcohol. Alcohol was outlawed in America. It's the white gangs and mobs that fought to get it. They was trapping alcohol back in the day. The drugs come from them. The media has them thinking that all of the issues in America start with black people. And it's like they don't realize that majority of the issues that it's like, why don't we have there are no art, like why don't white people address issues in the white community? Like there are no articles on white crime. They don't have no articles dealing with, like when he's bringing up rap music, okay, well how can you talk about rap music without talking about the effects of rock and roll and country. Y'all kind of addressed that already. You know what I'm saying? The fact that he don't see a difference, the fact that he sees a difference between the impact of rock and roll, which has been pushing white kids to commit suicide, white kids to get on drugs for fucking decades now, and he think there's no issue with that, but there's an issue with hip hop. You know, it shows the mentality that a lot of people have and a self accountability on their part. But I learned.
I think you make a good point, man. And anybody else, raise your hand or flash mic if you want to speak, man. But thank you for the good point, Conscious. Thank you, God. King made a good point. Now, I thank you for jumping in there for whatever it's worth. And if I could just say, man, listen, at the end of the day, somebody earlier spoke about brute force and the fact of how force impacts or is the only thing that people recognize, man. But it ain't really force, because if you understand history, which is important, when you learn from history, no matter how strong the military force, you can't hold a population or group of people that you conquer without changing the mind of the populace and the people. That's why, for whatever it's worth, historically, they've used religion or other things to try to create a like-mindedness to steal and win the hearts and minds of the people. What am I saying? I'm saying how you influence the mind of a culture changes the culture, the cultural appetite, the social norms. So what we're all saying is there's disparities in how the story on Juneteenth of African American people is taught. So whether it's through the music, through the art, through who invests in the music and the art, through the stories that are told on the news and how the stories do. We know crime is insatiable appetite is a reality, but are we projecting more black crime? Do advertisers feel more comfortable with black death and black crime than they do with other cultures? We have to be stewards and custodians of how our story is told, because that's what determines, in my humble opinion, how the Keegans of the world that are infected with propaganda treat our children for the future. We really, really have to understand that good, bad, and indifferent, no matter how it got here, what's authentic, what's real, what the music is saying or what it's not saying, how our history is taught in schools, how the media reflects our culture, impacts people. That's why King gets paid the big bucks to promote people, because brand matters. We would be stupid to think on Juneteenth that the brand of our culture doesn't have a direct correlation to how people treat us. I'll land there. Does somebody want to speak up?
Yeah, real quick, because everyone has mentioned my name in every single sermon. But here's the thing, and why this does matter in the context. When everyone says 70% of all crimes are committed by whites, guys, go look up the top 5 safest states in the United States, and then I want you to go look up their demographic, and then I want you to tell me what are some really, really unsafe cities in America, and I want you to go look at the demographic. White people, we definitely commit the most. We definitely commit crime. I want to make this very clear for you. The crime is different. And the idea that crime isn't different, the idea that aggravated...
Population density, you're an engineer.
Sure, you can say population, but the same thing is that when we look at black majority towns, not cities, we don't need to look at cities. They still have completely different crime statistics than white towns. Right? And again, I think it's the culture that's been taught. I think it's propaganda. CO is hitting on something. I think it is propaganda. But I think it's the wrong propaganda. You guys say that, well white crime isn't explained in the media. That the media, all I heard from the media for the past few years is about sex trafficking, about Jeffrey Epstein. Right? This is all I heard. I think 3 documentaries have already been made about it. Right? That's white crime. You call it Jewish crime, sure, but it's also white crime. Pedophilia is something that white people have tried to deal with. We've created nonprofits. We've created over 10 nonprofits that all are multi-million-dollar nonprofits dealing with sex trafficking in the United States. There's many social media accounts of white people. Go look it up. Of Alex Rosen or other white individuals who go and honeypot these individuals, trap them, and then beat them to a living pulp. They're beating pedophiles on the streets. We love it. We praise them to do that. My point is that we don't see the promotion. I don't see white people promoting the bad acts of what white people do, right? Whether that is pedophilia, whether that is whether that is alcoholism, whether that I don't see the promotion.
So Keegan, let me stop you really quick. So
Let me respond to him.
okay, hold on a second. And I appreciate Keegan, you taking this beat down, that you kind of get the verbal lashing and being spot on, and at least you're objective for whatever it's worth, even with what we perceive as your racist views. But the argument that you make, and then I want to hear the rest of the room respond to this, the argument that you typically make and join others with these statistics seems to imply that black people are just genetically predispositioned to be trifling, right? It's almost like, listen to what I'm trying to say. What you argue most of the time, knowingly or unknowingly, is that, hey guys, you aren't paying attention to the fact that this is a reality. These black people are this, and you guys aren't looking at the facts. What you just said is, look, you owned all white people. Us white people don't do these things. Us white people do these. Us white people, cities are this way, right? And you black people, cities are this. And you black people do this. And you black people do this. What is the actual opinion that you have of black people? How did they come up? How did they become this thing that you hate to see 42 and you don't want to see these movies on TV where all these black people? What is it that you think of black people really?
It's I've explained it, I think, very well, which is it is the culture of inner city ratchet, and it's being promoted. I absolutely agree with you. It is being promoted by the media and by black individuals. And the media, I believe, is owned by Jewish people. So I think that that's actually a really clear distinction that we should be making, and why Jewish people control our media, and why are they promoting this to everyone? Because not just black.
I wouldn't blame it on Jewish people either, man. I don't like that either. I'm not
sure you don't need to blame it on them.
I'm just saying, you could just say there are Jewish people in the music industry. You could say that, but let's not say all.
Sure. Well, I don't know why
all black people or all white people. Hold on a second, Keith.
Well, let him finish. Let him finish his thought.
See, you own it. You own it. Let him finish.
Yeah, I just came back to bro. Let him finish his thought.
Okay, go ahead and finish your thought, Keith.
Yeah. And just 30 more seconds here. Sure, if you don't want to say it's just all Jewish people, I'm not saying it's all Jewish people. I'm just saying the people who own the media are majority Jewish, and they are promoting this behavior. And I think that a lot of black people and white people are done with behavior. The behavior of single motherhood. I mean, the Jeffrey Springer. Like, why? How did he even have a show? Why is Murray still on TV? Right? Like, these individuals just promote degeneracy, and I don't understand why we, as a society, even decide to give it airtime. And my point is that we all agree. It's like we all agree that this is ratchet, that this is ghetto. But for some reason, when I say it, this is racist for you to say this. When again, I'm just pointing out that white people, we do not promote the bad things of our communities. We just don't. We don't allow it. We say, okay, if this is happening, we're going to create nonprofits. We're going to create social media accounts where individuals go and beat up pedophiles by the hundreds. Right, like Alex Rosen has by the hundreds caught pedophiles and then beat them up on live camera. Right, I don't see black people. I don't see black people. We're gonna fight the gangbangers, and we're gonna go and we're gonna freaking beat them to a pulp to show people that this is.
Hold on, I'm gonna jump in here real quick. Listen, Keegan, these little word games that you play might work on retards. In a room full of adults, people can call you out for your dumb shit. And here's the reality. Everything that you spit is some sort of racial trope that you've decided that you believe in. And then what you do is you take, hey, maybe I can get them to all agree, because decent people will agree that pedophiles are abhorrent and gang violence is something that we should stand against. And then you say, oh, well, that's my position. I stand against pedophile. Well, how fucking brave of you to stand against the thing that we all fucking stand against. These arguments you make are fucking, this is what you expect to get out of a 5th grader, a 6th grader. I would challenge, shut the fuck up while a grown man's talking. I would challenge